Hi, welcome to Pyrography Made Easy. I'm Brenda. In this tutorial episode, I am going to explain how to create a rattan frame. Now, I am using this frame on my Gorilla artwork. The artwork wasn't finished when I created this video, but the frame can be used on anything. It has a wonderful organic or natural look to it. And what's really great is it is super easy to do. And I will show you some ways to modify how it looks so that you could customize it to your own personal preferences. Well, let's get started. Step 1. Lines. Use a writer pen tip to burn guidelines at the halfway mark, the diagonal corners, and the straight transitions at the corners. Then start burning thick, slightly curved lines that radiate outward from the halfway mark on the frame. Try to keep the lines at a set distance from each other. You don't need to be perfect about it, though. It is completely up to you how close you want the lines to be. The closer together the lines are, the darker the frame will look. And the opposite is true. The further apart the lines are, the paler the frame will look. You can use any pen tip you prefer. Regardless of the pen tip you use, there will be very little, if any, noticeable difference between the lines. Use what feels comfortable to you. I am using several different pen tips. There are two reasons for this. First, some of the pen tips are brand new, so I'm testing them out in an area that won't matter. Second, I want to show you that almost any pen tip can be used. There are probably some exceptions, like a skew pen tip, but the majority of them will work. With the corners, I start the line on the inner corner and pull it towards the outer corner. I begin working along one of the straight edges and gradually increase the angle as I near the diagonal guideline in the corner. It may be necessary to rotate the board to make it easier to burn on the corners. Step 2. Contour. Use the shader of your choice and burn pull-away strokes along the outer edge of the frame. Always start the burn stroke on the edge and pull it down towards yourself. Most likely, this is the same direction that would be the opposite side of the frame. It is up to you when you stop the burn stroke, but I recommend stopping before you reach the halfway mark on the frame. Pull-away strokes start darker than they end, so they create gradient color. How quickly you move your hand will control two things. First, it controls how dark the burn strokes are, and secondly, it controls how quickly the color fades. Move your hand fast and you'll get a lighter burn stroke that fades quicker. Slow your hand speed down and the burn strokes get darker and the color lasts longer. To get smoother results, slightly overlap your burn strokes. Also, you can reburn over areas to darken and further smooth out the burn strokes. Be aware that this burn stroke is easier to do when burning with the grain. Don't be surprised if there are some sides of the frame that are more difficult to do. The more difficult sides are the ones that you'll be burning against the grain. When this happens, I find it helpful to slow down a little and do a little bit more reburning. As you burn, make sure to use a light hand pressure. You will get better results. Make sure to rotate the board as needed so that you are always pulling the pen tip downward. Burning in this direction is easier to control, so your burn strokes are more consistent. When burning in the corners, I angle the burn strokes to match the lines. This means that as I get closer to the 90-degree spot on the corner, my burn strokes become more diagonal. The same thing happens when I'm working on the inside corner of the frame. As I said before, the burn strokes follow the direction of the lines. If you prefer, slightly rotate the board to burn in a vertical direction. The inset video in the red square shows me burning against the wood grain. Compare the burn strokes in the right square with the burn strokes to the left. You can really see how much smoother the burn strokes are when burning with the grain. Here is how the frame looks so far. The left side has been contoured, the right side has not. Step 3. Contrast. The last step is to reduce the contrast between the edges and the center of the frame. This is done by burning over the center of the frame. For this I burn more pull-away strokes, but the color is much lighter than what I did along the edges. That is because I turned down the heat on my burner. I started these pull-away strokes anywhere within the darker burns along the edges of the frame. Also, I didn't bother to rotate the board. This means that the burn strokes created along the upper edge of the frame are being pulled downward. On the flip side, the burn strokes created along the lower edge of the frame are being pushed upward. If you prefer, rotate the board to make it easier to burn the pull-away strokes. I didn't do this because I wasn't worried about it. And the reason is that I'm burning at a low heat, so the color isn't very dark. If the burn strokes aren't very smooth, they are so pale in color it's not going to be very noticeable. Something that I want to mention is that you can burn uniform strokes in the place of pull-away strokes in this area. Also, it is completely up to you how dark you burn the center of the frame. The darker the center is, the less contrast there will be between the center and the edges. This will make the frame look a little flatter or less curved. Regardless of that, it will still look good. Here's how the frame looks after the contrast was reduced. For comparison, the right half of the frame has been contoured, but the contrast has not been reduced. Let's recap the information. First, begin by burning lines along the edges of the frame. Second, contour the frame by burning pull-away strokes along the outer edges of the frame. Third, reduce the contrast of the frame. This is done by burning over the center. Well, that is it for this video. I hope you found the information helpful. On my website, Pyography Made Easy, I have a lot of written tutorials and a lot of free patterns available. I will put a link to my website in the description below. Well, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you soon.